Indian parents, you don't talk about. You're not supposed to date anybody, and then one day they'll just be like, "Why aren't you married?" It's a very sudden flip. Very suddenly. Are you gay? You're not married.
So this is what I'm so confused about Indian culture. Was Indian culture like very sexually aware, and then when Britain came over, they brought sexual repression?
That's what you said to me years ago, and maybe I only know.
Yeah.
We don't talk about this. That's
That
just
is
how I
a
grew
British
up.
ass fucking thing.
And that could be. And also, India there is way different than, because my parents brought over India from 1970.
Oh.
That's 50 years ago. So like, I have cousins that'll come from the big cities. I remember in like 2000, and the fact that I didn't drink and I wasn't having, they were like, "What the fuck are you? What? You're like old school." Because my parents, I didn't know India. It makes sense, but you don't think about India changing every year. You know what I mean? Like if you left New York in the 70s and all your dad told you, "Yo, New York is this is how you are as in New York." Then you go back and they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Ronnie Chang, the comedian, hilarious comedian, was telling me about Chinese culture in like Singapore, for example, might be more indicative of true traditional Chinese culture, because the CCP has obviously changed things in their favor now. They don't want any other forces out there that could like exert power or will on the people, i.e. religion, etc. So he was saying Chinese culture in Singapore, or even like parts of the Americas, the traditions, the celebrations might be like more, I don't want to say real, but like true.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what your parents are. They're where now maybe the Indians are more, I don't want, not westernized. What are they?
I would say westernized, but yeah, they're more free, they're more open, they're more whatever. Like you didn't see, sex was not a thing in Bollywood movies until like, I don't know, 2000s.
But
just wasn't.
But desire was a thing. Like
I mean, there's a billion of us. We're the fastest growing population all through the 90s. So clearly we're fucking.
Yeah.
But you just don't talk about it.
And someone's got, maybe Shub knows about this. What is the difference between Kama Sutra? Kama Sutra?
Kama Sutra.
Oh, it's not karma.
No,
it's Kama. Okay, Kama Sutra. And then nobody talks about sex. Something happens culturally where you figure out every single sexual position that can exist.
Yeah.
And then nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
It's about 1,000 years of invasions.
Oh,
So
wow.
British shit, right? Is
So
that
they
right?
heard that y'all pussy was good.
Basically, yeah.
The word went around that the pussy was fire.
Let's do a little invasion.
And then we got to invade that.
Let's see what an invasion's like.
Who invaded where you were like, let's stop talking about sex? Like, who is the worst dick? That's what we need to know.
It's been happening for a long time. It started with the Mongols all the way up to the British. So it could be anyone.
But is it a fair question I pose, or is it?
I think if you get 1,000 years of bad dick, it's gonna show that you're just gonna not want to talk about it anymore.
Isn't that interesting? Were there invasions prior to that?
The Mughal Empire.
Yeah, that was like the biggest.
Mongol, yeah.
That was the biggest foreign invasion force that controlled India for a long time. But there were invasions in India all the way from like 3,000, 4,000 years ago. I mean, the Greeks ruled part of India for about 600 years.
Yeah, Alexander the Great came through.
That's where he died.
He didn't die in India.
No?
No.
Oh, my bad.
How dare you?
Where'd he die? On some little boy's dick?
Yep. No, I think he was coming back from. Fuck.
Wait, who died?
He died in Babylon.
Babylon, yes. And there's like a cool story about his like grave site or something. Fuck, I read this. But like where he was actually buried and where the body was brought, I think was like almost politicized. And I think the body was like stolen at one point and like brought to another area. Yes, sir. Thank you. But yeah, I'm just so curious about that, Shub.
Yeah, the Kama Sutra is like one. You have to think about it this way: Hindu culture has been developing for like 3,000 years. So think about how sex and its sort of notions and understanding has changed in America in the last 300 years, right? It's changed so much. We've become so open to it. This has been happening in ebbs and flows in India for 5,000 years.
Yeah,
Got
this is
it.
3rd century it was written.
So you go through your sexual. This is fascinating. We're so young that we don't even understand that there is an end to the sexual renaissance. This probably happened in like Rome, in Naples. You saw these like weird sex shops where you could fuck animals and shit like that. Where's Mount Vesuvius again?
Pompeii.
Pompeii, yeah. So That's interesting. We think of sex and sexual progression as this thing that just continues.
Purely linear.
It's not. It stops and then restarts. So you've probably experienced the end because you're such an old culture.
So they had their OnlyFans sexy red era.
Yeah.
And then they're like,
That-
this is too much.
It's like
Pull
the
back.
perfect way to put it. Like this is sexy red.
Yeah,
You guys
yeah.
listed all the sexual positions, and then I'm
makes
sure that
sense.
there was like a rejection of it.
Yeah.
And we maybe are going through that now. Maybe we're not, but maybe we will.
Yeah.
Where like conservatism will like take over and be like, yo, why are we fucking like this? This is maybe a little bit.
Also, apparently, there's like a spiritual and philosophical context to the Kama Sutra that, like,
Yeah.
when you look at it as this, you're like, oh, it's just fucking. But in the time, it was kind of contextualized under a different thing where it wasn't just like sex.
See that I've heard, and in my brain, we grew up so sexually repressed. I can't even make the connection. So I'm kind of like, it doesn't make any sense. Like I just can't, dude. I'm watching a movie with my mom. Sex scene comes up. She would just get up and walk out of the room. She's like, look, I'm not gonna make you stop watching the movie. We're not watching this together.
Wow.
It's just like there's like little sketches, like IG sketches about like
My
you're
mom will
watching.
start panting.
Yeah.
Y'all ever have that happen where they're like, hi, hi,
Larry.
hi, Lottie, oh, Lottie, it's gonna be crazy tonight, Lottie.
I wish.
Yeah,
No, okay.
I wish. But yeah, that's so. I think all Indian kids my age are like, this is. Well, I'm not talking about this.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, we got to figure out when that shit stopped. Because the Brits definitely didn't prolong it. That's a fact.
Yeah, they would have.
They're weird about sex too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's records of them like putting down a bunch of Hindu practices when they first came around, when they first became like the charter nation that controlled India. There was an active sort of like culling of all the liberal and progressive elements of Hindu culture to make it seem more fitting for like the Victorian ideals of the time.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah, we really kind of organized some shit over there, huh? Shout out to us, bro.
Yeah. Well, you're British.
I'm doing the black thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just us, dude. Unless we don't
nice,
fight
right?
them.
It's
Yeah,
nice.
it is what it is.